Hi there, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Prestige Liquids. It is absolutely fantastic to have you here with me today. Today, again, we're doing something a little bit different. I've got a special guest with me today. I'm going to be bringing in Antonio from the Whiskey Quests, where we'll be doing a joint review of Legent. So, without further ado, I'm going to bring him in now and let's say hello. So, there we go. Antonio, how are you, mate?
Pretty good. Good morning to you.
I'll say good evening to you. Well, no, you're still in the afternoon, aren't you? It's only about about 3 o'clock at the moment for you?
Yeah, 3 o'clock right now.
Awesome. Mate, as I mentioned, again, we will be reviewing the Legent. So I'm just about to pour myself a beautiful glass of this wonderful, wonderful bourbon here.
Definitely.
And I thought, let's start getting into it. What do you say?
All right.
Right. As a lot of you already are aware, this was a collaboration, I guess, between the Jim Beam and Suntory companies. You can just see that beautiful, I guess, Japanese influence on the bottle. It's absolutely incredible. You've got that nice brushstroke of the Japanese calligraphy style. I think one of the things that I had noticed, I think when Antonio first had done his review of this, I think you had pointed out that there was actually the faces of the, I guess, of the distillers in that brushstroke. So that's some really awesome detail there. And then what could you love more than a bourbon that has been finished off in sherry cask? I mean, that's not something that happens very often, is it?
No, I mean, they definitely did a really good job with this. I mean, from the bottle itself, you have all these little things to look at. Kind of like when you were a kid eating cereal and just staring at the box while you're eating your cereal. You drink your whiskey and look at the bottle and like.
Yeah, there's just so much to look at. It's fantastic, isn't it?
Oh yeah, they went all out on this one for sure. The cork.
Actually, one thing that I noticed as well, and I'm kicking myself now because this was one thing that I wanted to make sure that I had looked up before I had started, because I keep forgetting what the actual term is. But the Japanese, they have these things. I guess in English you would call it a name stamp, and those stamps are used pretty much for anything. If you want to put a signature on something, you've got a piece of artwork, you want to put your name on it, official documents, anything. So pretty much anybody from students, business people, your average Joe Blow, they carry around these name stamps. So instead of having to sign your complete name on a document, you can just get your stamp and you stamp it on the document. And now I am not 100% certain if this is in fact one of those name stamps, but if you can see on the bottle there, I have a feeling that that is one of those, a representation of that type of name stamp as well. So I thought that was another one of those things that was interesting about the detail that they're putting onto the bottle.
Oh yeah.
So they're not really missing anything, are they? They've pretty much got it. Yeah.
Even underneath the cork, it's got something. Remember?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
yeah.
A lot of Easter eggs on this. Yeah. See.
Yeah. Oh, on the inside. Mate, that's the first time I've noticed that.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know why. I've always seen where it said the Kentucky and Japan on the top of the thing, but I've never thought to look on the underside of the bottle, and I've almost finished it as well. There's not much left.
Yeah, this is my second bottle. I'm almost halfway.
Yeah.
So my first one, I pretty much just gave samples to a bunch of people. I was that impressed. I wanted people to try it and see what I was experiencing. And before you know it, the bottle was gone, just giving it away.
Yeah, it doesn't take long. I mean, I think I've shared this with probably just a few, like family and friends, like when I've had it with me. And that's just like pouring them like a glass wherever we've been. I haven't actually like poured out like giveaway samples. So for me, like within, I don't know, I think maybe it's been about 2-3 months. I mean, I've done that damage myself.
It's that good.
I want to get another one. I think it's definitely worth picking up, but I think here it's still quite expensive. It goes for about about $90 a bottle here. So it's pretty expensive, but it is nice. So I would definitely get it again.
Yeah, $90. I bought mine
Mm.
for 35, which is suggested retail price.
Yeah, that's
I've seen stores that are selling it for $50. You know,
okay. Yeah,
and it's
see,
only
for
twenty
us, like,
dollars more. But then you're like, for $50, there are other things that you can buy with that money.
yeah, that's what I've been thinking as well. All right, so shall we get onto the nosing and let's see what we're getting? I mean, I know you've started going ahead already, so why don't you tell me what you've been getting?
Oh yeah, the first thing, I always get this creamy uh sensation on my nose when you're smelling it. So it's making
Mm.
me think that I'm gonna taste something creamy.
It is
That oak is very present.
almost like a vanilla cream, isn't it?
Oh yeah, yeah,
To me, it since you mentioned it, it's like those what are they? They're like those like cream, like it's I guess more of like an artificial cream smell, like when you get like those shortbread cookies or something that's got like that vanilla cream like
yeah.
in the middle of them.
Oh yeah.
It's very sugary as well.
And then that sherry really comes through. I mean, you get those fruit notes. I get
Yeah,
orange a lot on this, a lot of orange.
orange.
Yeah, not like the citrus, but like the orange. It's
Yeah, I'm getting like a orange juice.
like an orange woody
Mm.
combination of wood and orange together. I don't know, it's weird.
Apple. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
bit of apple, wood spice.
yeah. There's some spiciness in there.
Yeah,
It's a fantastic nose. I mean, it's
it
not
is.
super complex, but
No,
it's
but what
different.
it has is well balanced.
Yeah.
It has enough there that you just want to keep on smelling it. I think
Yeah,
a
and that's
touch
why
of mint as well.
Japanese blenders are, they want to get like perfection in there. So,
Yeah.
they
Well,
age this in the regular Jim Beam kind of way, and
mm,
then, they put their Japanese spin into it by aging it in the wine barrels. And then he blended even more like regular Jim Beam, just to bring that balance in there.
yeah.
So there was nothing overpowering something else. I think they
So
did a
then
great job.
technically, then obviously, since this has been like finished in like wine and sherry casks, this technically can't be called like a legal bourbon, then can it?
That's what people have been. I think the main complaint that I've been hearing is that, why did they put bourbon on there? Was it straight bourbon, right?
Yeah, it says straight bourbon, and then partially finished in wine and sherry casks. Because bourbon has to be virgin oak, doesn't it?
Yeah. So I don't know. It's one of those things. I mean, it is a straight bourbon, but then it was finished.
Yeah, I guess it's one of those things to cause controversy and have people to talk about something, I suppose, isn't it? Otherwise, it would just be, oh yeah, these two companies have they've gotten together and they've created this whiskey. But wait, what's that? I mean, they're calling it bourbon. What a travesty!
To
Yeah,
me, I don't really care. I mean,
no,
it's just a name thing, and as long as they produce something great. But yeah, I mean, the one thing about bourbon is that you can't really add, flavorings or color.
yeah. It
But
has a very thick nose, doesn't it?
yeah,
Almost like
that's the
quite
creaminess I
syrupy.
get. syrupy. Oh,
It feels like I have some type of like thick syrup in front of me, and that's yeah,
some honey also. It's
yeah,
really good.
honey, caramel.
Yeah,
It's funny how it kind of takes a little bit longer for I guess the typical bourbon notes to come through. I think the sherry influence is definitely like in terms like you get that wood spice there, which is pretty much always, I guess, the signature of all bourbons. But then that goes away where you will get that vanilla cream, and then obviously all the sherry fruits and all that kind of thing comes through. And then it's like the bourbon, like mintiness and rice spice
yeah,
comes through after.
yeah. Definitely get that mintiness. It's a great nose. I love it.
Yeah. Oh, shall we give it a taste?
Let's
See
do
what
it.
we get.
Cheers. Mm.
That's
Wow.
brilliant.
Every time I come back to
Now,
this, awesome.
look, I don't know about you, but I know, say, when I've, say, myself and a few other people that I've spoken to, like when it comes to ABV, now, if you're not going for full, like cast strength or your standard 40%, that like between that 46 to 48%, like positioning for ABV, always to me just feels like a perfect. It's like a perfect spot.
Yeah, your sweet spot.
It's not too watered down where all your tasting is a very thin, watery notes, and it's not too strong where all you're picking up is just some alcohol burn. It's
Right.
like a well perfectly balanced spot. Wow.
That
It's quite
creaminess.
dry, surprisingly.
Is it really for you?
Um,
Yeah, I guess that would tannins.
yeah.
Yeah.
You get a good mouthfeel though. I mean, it's very even. Like it's not too thick. But you get that nice. I quite enjoy getting like that alcohol prickle, and you feel that like sensation, like pretty much filling your whole mouth. It's
Yeah.
really good. It's too easy to drink. I mean,
It is.
it was just yesterday. I mean, we were having like 40 degrees, like that's Celsius. I think in Fahrenheit, I think that's well over 100 degrees. I think close to 120.
Wow.
Mate, I got home from work. It was at nighttime, about 10 p.m. at night. The temperature had probably dropped maybe by only about 5 degrees. I poured myself a glass of this on the rocks. Mate, absolutely perfect. It was so refreshing.
Really? I haven't tried this one on the rocks. I'll try it today.
No, it holds up very well to ice. It's quite good. But it's very vanilla dominant, I find this. Um, Considering that the nose, you get more of the, I guess, the sherry influence. To me, I'm finding that the palate and the taste is much more of more bourbon dominant in the flavor profile. You're getting more of that wood char, that barrel oaky spice.
Hmm.
It has a light pepperiness to it as well. Bit of orange zest coming through for me as well.
That's
I don't
that's the
know.
main note I get. That's like pops out right away, orange.
Yeah.
But then it follows with the other things you said: the vanillas, the caramels, the
Mm.
sugary notes, the wood notes, the wood char, and it's a great finish too.
It is. It's not too long, but it's nice and even.
Hmm.
Again, it's just well balanced. It just carries through nicely. It's not harsh in any way. It's just a perfect experience. It's just very, very smooth, for want of a better word.
Yeah, that's why he said it's too easy to drink. That you're
It
like,
is. It's dangerous, which sometimes isn't always necessarily a bad thing. But hey, you got to be careful sometimes.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
I get a really
is
nice
there any,
tangy note. I don't know if you get that.
yeah, I think now that you mention it, yeah, it definitely does have a tanginess to it that I'm trying to think of what it might be.
It's a
It
nuttiness.
definitely doesn't have that typical like Jim Beam nuttiness, does it?
Yeah.
It's
Hmm.
and I think for me, I mean, I've as far as like Jim Beam goes, I've only ever tried the I guess the standard white label, so I'm not too familiar with the rest of their range. Look, I enjoyed that. For me, though, it wasn't anything all that special, but this is fantastic. I mean, this is something that I would go back and get another bottle for no problem at all.
Oh yeah, me too. There's something. I mean, it's the good thing is here to stay. So it's not like a limited release. Or you're like,
Yeah,
oh, you know.
it's always the tease when they do that, isn't it?
Oh my god, yeah.
That's and again one thing that I really enjoyed as well. I mean, changing to a different bourbon now, but the Wild Turkey Rare Breed. I mean, that was absolutely fantastic as well. And the fact that is part of a core range, and you know you can get it all the time whenever you want it.
Yeah,
It's a wonderful thing.
that's one whiskey I haven't tried yet. So I'm looking forward to trying that. And I do
Oh
love
yeah,
fried turkey.
I think you'll like it. I think if you enjoy the like 101 and the standard Wild Turkey, then yeah, you'll have no problem with the rare breed. It is fantastic. But now I've got you on my channel. We're going to pour another glass,
Okay.
and I have to have you say your catchphrase. What do we have to do with whiskey, or what do you like to do? I should say.
What I like to do is add a little bit of water to see if it changes, because you'll never know unless you try it.
That's right. Sorry, but I had to have you say that. I couldn't have you on here without throwing that in. Maybe you can get that printed on a shirt as well. Whiskey,
Yeah,
just
right.
add a drop of water.
It's funny.
Oh,
I never intended to keep using that over and over, but
but it works for you. I mean,
it's not like
like
I
I said,
invented the term, you know. But it's just
it's I
stuck
think
there.
it it's one of those things. It suits you. It suits what you and your channel are about. I mean, you're wanting to explore whiskies of every type, every genre from every country that you can find, and you want to explore them in every way that you want to. So if adding drops of water to find out the best profiles for those whiskeys is what you do, well, then that's what you do. And like I said, for me, that's something that I enjoy. It's one of those little things that I enjoy about watching your channel as well. Is just like seeing what other flavors that you draw out of the whiskey just by adding a drop of water. Because, like you said, you don't know what you will get. So,
Yeah.
all right, let's see how we go for the nose, and let's see what we get.
Much sweeter.
Yeah.
A lot more of that the caramel and vanillas and like honey coming out,
Mm-hmm.
like much more predominant in there.
To me, that thick, syrupy note has definitely thinned out.
Yeah.
It's nowhere near as like cream dominant as what it once was. But like you said, that has now shifted, and the sugary sweetness, the caramel has come up a lot more.
Oh yeah. I get
I
more barrel
find,
now.
yeah, I think definitely more of a peppery spice coming through.
Yeah. That citrus. But more than anything, just the sweet vanillas and caramels. Maybe even
To
a
me,
little
it's
bit of chocolate too. I don't know.
chocolate.
Yeah. That's what I
Maybe
that's
more of
the
like a very like milk chocolate.
yeah, yeah.
And I think as well that orange note has gone more lemony to me for it's got more of a lemon zest than like an orange juice note.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, more zesty, definitely.
It's bringing out the alcohol vapor a lot more.
I like this both ways.
Yeah, it's it's still really good. I mean, even on ice, yesterday when I was having it on ice, I mean, I was drinking it in a rocks glass as well. So, I mean, obviously you've got a much wider opening at the glass, but even in ice, the nose was, to be honest, not that much different. It still held up really, really well. I think I'm getting a bit of grape as well, like green grapes,
Oh yeah, something.
but more, I have to say more of like the skin rather than the actual flesh of the fruit itself.
Yeah, I'm thinking somewhere like prunes for me, but it's yeah, like the skin.
Just realized I forgot to turn the power on for the battery on the laptop. Now we're probably going to have a ding come up in the middle of the
Oh,
video telling me that the battery is low.
all right. Want to go in
That's
for it or
yeah, it's so good.
cheers?
Right, now let's get on with the tasting now.
All right,
Cheers.
cheers.
Mouth feels definitely a lot thinner
Yeah,
now than what it was, but it feels spicier. I'm getting more of those oaky tannins and the I guess more of a peppery wood spice coming through.
yeah. I'm getting more barrel char on this time.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was just about to say that myself.
barrel char makes me think of like black coffee.
Yeah,
You know, a little bit
like
bitter.
just pouring up like a straight cup of espresso.
Hmm.
There's more there.
There's more
Surprisingly,
fruitiness.
there's a lot going on. I think the water is bringing out a bit more of that nuttiness. I think I'm getting a slight like peanut almond note coming
Yeah,
through.
yeah, almond for sure.
Yeah.
This is how smooth it became. Like it's over.
Uh, I have to say, like, so you probably can't really see it like in the camera, but even by adding water, I mean, it's still quite oily. It had like it's got quite a few legs coming down on the glass as well.
Mm-hmm. Really, really nice legs. That's
Yeah,
something I don't pay attention too much unless it's like unshell filtered.
yeah.
Then I'd like to look at it, but
For for me, it's like one of those things that I forget to mention until I notice it. Like when I in general when I do my videos, like I don't always have like the note in my head to comment on the color or the legs, and it's one of those things that I wish that I did more of. Because unfortunately, like when I do, I just kind of throw it into the middle, and it's like I'll be going like mid, like giving some notes on the like on the either on the nosing or on the palate, and then stop halfway through and be like, oh yeah, and if you stop now and have a look, I mean, look at that color. It is fantastic. It's like this nice coppery color. It's got these beautiful legs coming down the glass. I'm thinking, you idiot. If I had just said that at the start of the video before I had gotten into it, I mean, that would have been a much better place to put it. But what can you do?
yeah. Well, this speaking of the color, I this is a really like nice golden honey. You know, it's just inviting. Even just looking at it,
It
it's like
is.
drink me.
And this is like one of those, I guess for people that are wanting to get into bourbon, I think this is a very good and safe entry point into starting a bourbon journey, I suppose.
I would say, as
Um,
long as you
yeah.
like trying different things, you know, because
Look, for me, it took me a long time to get into bourbon. I know, like, I was very much a Scotch drinker only at the start. I could not stand bourbon. Unfortunately for me, the closest thing that I had to trying bourbon was things like Southern Comfort and other things that were like that. And now that I've learned recently that Southern Comfort, I think, isn't actually like a proper bourbon. It's more of like
liqueur.
a liqueur. Yeah, I just found those profiles for me were just way too sweet. Even when I tried like Jim Beam for the first time, for me it was just very, very sweet, and I couldn't get past that sweetness. Where recently I thought, you know what, stuff it. I'm going to start trying more. There's more to the whiskey world than just Scotch. I mean, as soon as you go to like the US, it's just bourbon, bourbon, bourbon everywhere, and there's just so many different types, and it's just ignorant to say that they are all the same. And now, look, I've probably only tried about 5 or 6 different like brands of bourbon, and every single one of them is completely different. So I'm so glad that I finally changed my mindset.
Yeah, I mean, I know what you mean about a lot of people do say that all bourbons taste the same,
Mm.
because you know you really have to explore it. Like we added some water, give it some time to open up.
Yep.
But some of them are more sweeter than others. Some of them have more spice going on than others. So to me, that's different right there.
Yeah.
Just changing it
And
up.
the thing is,
What's more predominant in the nose and the taste?
but the thing is, you get that with Scotch as well. That is not just that's not just a bourbon profile either. I mean, you can try so many different Scotches. I mean, you take a Space Side, for example, and you'll have a lot of people that will be like, oh yeah, all Space Side is the same. You're going to expect these types of notes. You're going to get this, and that. You
Uh,
move to Isla, same thing. You're going to get peat. You're going to get that earthy, smoky notes, and those are going to be the dominant flavors. I mean, when it comes to bourbon, obviously the dominant flavors are always going to be your vanillas, caramels, and your wood spice. So really, it's no different. It's just more so trying to change your mindset to say that no, one is not better than the other. They are just different.
yeah,
Ah, that's brilliant.
that's awesome. Yeah.
You don't want it to end.
No,
Uh, on that note, I'll pour just a little bit more.
I already did too, because
Yeah, I noticed that. It's like you said, too dangerous. So, look, I think that's it for the review. I think we've pretty much gotten to a good point there, and
yeah.
pretty much like covered what we needed to. So I guess at the moment, mate, I've caught you at the Super Bowl Sunday, and I have to say I did feel quite bad because I didn't realize at the time until you mentioned it um, when we were chatting and trying to organize this. Because I mean, Super Bowl in the States, I mean, that is such a massive. It's probably almost bigger than Christmas over there. I mean, isn't it? I mean, it's just
Yeah, like you said, yeah.
so big.
It's all day eating, all day drinking.
Yeah, watching
Sucks for the
TV commercials.
yeah.
I'll say, is your team in it this year, or are you
No,
just were you
my
just
team
watching
didn't make it,
football?
unfortunately. Chicago Bears, they had a horrible season.
Yeah,
It's like the
yeah.
laughing stock of football. So
Well,
what can you
I
do?
have to say, that's just like myself. I mean, I have even say like for Australian football. I mean, unfortunately, I used to watch it a lot when I was a kid with my dad. Unfortunately, like life and work kind of just gets in the way, and I hadn't like watched. I can't even remember when was the last time I sat down properly to watch a game. But probably like from the last like 4 or 5 years or so, the team that I followed, the Parramatta Eels, mate, they came last on the ladder like 2 or 3 consecutive years, and like that was like a bad time to be a supporter of that team. But Mate, when they're your team, you support them through better and worse. I guess it's
Oh
like a
yeah.
marriage, isn't it?
Oh yeah. I don't know if
You're in it for
you
the
follow
long run.
baseball or anything like that. For Chicago, the Chicago Cubs, that they had not won a championship in forever.
Yeah,
And if you rooted for that team, you were just being people would make fun of you. It's like, oh, why are you
yep,
rooting for them? It's like, it's my team. And when they
yeah.
finally won, you get to say that, like, yeah, I followed
It's like,
them
yeah,
when
suck it.
everybody made fun of them.
Yeah. We had this. I think we had the same thing with one of our football teams here as well. They were like constantly like one of the best performing teams in the competition. They I can't remember the exact statistics, but they were, I think, at least in second spot when it came to winning the most grand final matches. And then I don't know what happened, mate. They just collapsed, and they literally for decades became the worst team in the competition. And it has only been recently where they've finally been able to like rebuild,
Yeah,
and now they've got like one of the best teams. So
there you go.
I think our football season, I think, will be starting up in about maybe about a month and a half or so. So it will be interesting to see how it goes. But
Now, when
yeah,
you say football, is that like soccer or
no,
like
it's
football? Like,
out, not soccer. It's out. I mean, obviously, are you familiar with rugby union?
oh yeah,
Yeah,
so it's
it
rugby.
like what we have. Obviously, rugby union is a massive thing here as well. But I guess the next one is what's called rugby league, which is like a variant of that.
Okay.
Similar rules, but there is a different structure to the game as well. So
Oh,
um,
I'll have to
yeah,
look into that.
it's kind of like it's one of those things where it's kind of like middle class versus higher class. I guess the rugby union is kind of seen as like, I guess, the silver spoon of like the football world, and then you've got rugby league, which is like the middle class.
Okay. Okay. All right.
If that makes sense at all.
Kinda.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. It's we've got like quite a few different variants of football here in Australia. So it's one of those things that if you actually come here or watch the games, and like you will see the difference for yourselves. I mean, they are quite similar but very different at the same time.
Yeah, that's something I like to experience is
All right, mate, I think
live games.
mate, well, you'll have to come and experience Australia one day. I mean,
Oh
I
yeah.
think that would be absolutely great to have you here and to be able to take you around and see the sights.
Oh yeah. Australia is definitely in the bucket list.
Every now and then, I keep thinking that if I ever come to like America as well, I mean, again, I would love to. I've never been to Chicago. I've, I've, yeah, like for me, like I've been to the US, I think 3 times now. I've got family in California,
Okay.
so like we've always been want to see something different.
Yeah.
I've been to New York, Memphis, and New Orleans. New Orleans has been by far my favorite, my favorite place in the States so far.
Different
It is
culture.
absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
But now as well, and the baby to, I guess, to be able.
Oh, we lost Andrew. Hopefully he can fix it right now. Coming
See
back.
the faces behind the screens in real life would be a fantastic experience. So
We
yeah,
lost you for a second there. I don't know if you noticed.
yeah, I noticed that. I think I had a notification that popped up, so hopefully that didn't affect the feed too much. But I think before anything else happens and the whole thing decides to crash, I think let's call it to an end there.
Yeah. All right.
Was there anything else that you would like to add, Antonio?
No, I mean, just thank you for inviting me. I know we've been talking about doing this for a while, and
It's been a while.
our schedules
Yeah,
always, won't allow us to do that. But luckily
yeah,
today was one of those days that we could come on here and share our thoughts on this whiskey.
Yep, definitely. Yeah, again, I'd just like to thank you for coming on. Like you said, we have been trying to organize this for some time. I guess the original intention was to also have Anthony from New Dram Drinker join in with us as well. But since we had all tried Legent, I was hoping to be able to get I guess like a three-way chat going where we could have all given our notes on it. But I mean, it's one of those things where trying to just organize, say, two people to meet is difficult enough, let alone three people in three completely different time zones. But I think between myself and Anthony, we've been able to organize, say, something to, in our own way, collaborate something that he's doing and our own chat. So we'll be linking these up in our own way. So he's here in spirit regardless. So again, Antonio, thank you for joining me on with our chat. I will put a link in the description down below. So anybody who has not yet been following Antonio from Whiskey Quest, make sure you get down into that description and subscribe to Antonio. He's got some absolutely incredible content. Some extra housekeeping. If you're new to the channel, then please consider hitting that subscribe button and the bell notification. And for those of you who have been joining me on my journey so far, thank you so much. And I look forward to seeing you all again on the next video.
Cheers.
Cheers, Antonio. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.